Good afternoon for the most of you, good morning for some, and good evening for others. My name is Ken Hayashi from Aichi Art Center, Japan. It's my pleasure to be the moderator for AAPPAC very first virtual pitch session, the AAPPAC Connecting Series 2021. This session is an opportunity for all the AAPPAC members, as well as arts groups and independent artists in the Asia-Pacific region to share ideas on potential partnership through the presentation of new works. The intent of the series is to connect the network through the partnerships, providing a platform for commissioning between members such that there's greater longevity for work and increased exposure for artists. In link with AAPPAC's overall theme for this year, Digital Unpacked, the selection panel had prioritized projects of the following nature. A, digital works that were born with the constraints of the pandemic. Or B, works that display innovative use of technology in its creation or presentation. Also, in line with AAPPAC's vision and mission, consideration were also given for projects that A, reflect the diversity and character of the Asia-Pacific region, and or are cross-cultural. Before I talk about the submission this year, I'd like to thank my fellow selection panel members for this year Connecting Series, Faith Tan, Head of Dance and International Development of Esplanade Theaters on the Bay, and So-Hyun Kim, Director of Artistic Planning of Tonyeon Concert Hall. We had received an overwhelming number of 24 submissions this year. They were all interesting and of great quality. However, we could select only 8 of them, and the panel had a challenging time choosing the works that will be presented to you shortly. There are 5 works seeking presenters and venues to tour in, and 3 works in development seeking support from partners to grow the new commissions. As the presenters are all online with us today, I'd like to encourage everyone to ask questions through the chat function so that they can answer your question directly. So start writing questions anytime you want for the benefit of everyone joining us today. Please also state your name and organization when you write your question in the chat. With that, I'd like to present to you our first work for today. Now we have Future Sensitive New Modes of Being by Arts House Limited, featured by artist Lucy McRae, and the work is ready to connect. Please welcome the presenter, Fiza Maznan and Lucy McRae.
Hello everyone, I hope you are keeping well. My name is Fiza Maznan and I'm a producer with Singapore International Festival of Arts. Today, Lucy McRae and I are seeking co-commissioners and presentation opportunities for SIFA's upcoming commission with a working title of Future Sensitive, New Modes of Being by Lucy McRae. Before Lucy shares her work, let me introduce Lucy McRae. Lucy McRae is a science fiction artist, filmmaker, inventor, and body architect. Her body speculates on the future of human existence by exploring the limits of body, beauty, biotechnology, and the self. Lucy works across installation, film, photography, artificial intelligence, and edible technology. She is regarded as a thought leader who is exploring the cultural and emotional impact science and cutting-edge technology have on redesigning the body. Lucy uses art as a mechanism to signal and provoke our ideologies and ethics about who we are and where we are headed. Lucy has exhibited at museums, film festivals, institutes such as MIT, Ars Electronica, and NASA, and science forums across the world. Selected major artworks have been exhibited at Science Museum London, Centre Pompidou, and the Venice Biennale. She is regarded as a pioneer who blurs the boundaries across art, architecture, design, and technology with a healthy disregard for labels that limit the interdisciplinary practice. Lucy, please.
Thank you. So for a decade, I have been exploring how science and technology is slowly evolving and changing the body. And I think we agree that we are living in this critical moment right now where human evolution is being designed by science and technology, and the design of human is impacting on the globe as what we know as the Anthropocene. So this new commission will unpack the concept of a ritual. As by definition, ritual is known as a rite, religion, spirit, and habit. And what I am proposing through this new commission and film is a suggested antidote for how we live today and how we may move forward. I would argue that technology is forcing humanity to reconsider and recommit to a new concept or a new narrative of ritual, something that has not existed before but needs to come forth in order for us to get ahead of this somewhat fragile life that we live right now. So there is an artist, Memo Atkin, a computational artist, who looks at ritual as an algorithm, a process, a sequence or set of instructions followed physically and mentally to transform from current and mental states to something different or desired. So this ritual seen as an algorithm is almost like the body becomes the computer, becomes the equation, becomes the technology as a way to embody this new mode of being. Could it be that this higher state of collective consciousness brings us to a place of healing and of health, where this collective consciousness shifts, society changes, and technology is reflected in that shift? Could this bring us closer to planetary survival, a more integrated, healthy planet and united citizen story? Would designing a ritual, a new mode of being, provide humanity with a new platform? This is what this new film commission is about. It explores themes of healing, dance, theatre, costume, and confession. What you'll see is an elaborate set design, a cast of diverse dancers moving through 4 worlds like a procession, moving through 4 stages of ritual. This is used as a backbone. Time is used as a backbone, looking at the lifetime of a protagonist as they may pull a rope from a giant plexiglass box. This rope could be seen as a day, an hour, a lifetime of emotion that someone may experience, or how a ritual could untangle suffering or wounds that need to be healed. So what I'm proposing is that as we live in this moment of fragility, a moment of time, this commission is an opportunity to explore ritual and a new way of being as a concept for how we may move forward for planetary survival. Thank you. What you're seeing here is an existing work called Institute of Isolation. This gives you an idea of the type of atmosphere, my wish to explore science fiction from a feminine, visceral and physical point of view. The film will be from 10 to 15 minutes using set design, costume, theatre, dance and sound design to create this world of a new mode of being.
We are currently seeking co-commissioners and presenting partners. If you would like to come on board, do email me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fiza and Lucy. I think it will give you very, very strong impression, especially on visual. And please let me confirm this is film work, right? Could it be a live exhibition, online, offline, or is there any kind of live performance included?
I will kind of share with you what we'll be doing for SIFA 2022 to just give ideas to other kind of presenters and co-commissioners on where this film could reside or where this work can be best suited. So for SIFA 2022, this film will be residing on our online festival platform alongside the digital works of other artists. So the festival, like any other, is curating a digital self with works and experiences that allow for the festival to express itself and continue regardless of the restrictions of COVID-19. And so I think that this work would sit really well on such a platform. I would kind of defer to Lucy if there's any kind of other forms in which this film can be presented. Yeah, Lucy?
I think what's fantastic is that because it's a digital platform, you can reach beyond a physical space. And what we are exploring is the idea of a symposium that could exist alongside of the film, whether it's a live presentation with myself or myself and other people within this area. So you can start to build up a public program and symposium running alongside of the film. So that could be a live or digital element that could be plugged onto the film being screened.
Okay, thank you. Now we have The Center by Art Expected. It's produced by Neo Wu, and the work is ready to connect. Please welcome the presenter, Cho Shui, co-creator of the work.
Hello，我是周书义。那我今天会用中文跟你们分享。那我现在呢，想跟你们分享一下这个作品。分享一下这个作品是叫做《阿忠与我》的 Center。可以看见右边这个照片，它是由两个看似身体不同的人，然后去找到彼此可以交叠的生命轨迹。跟你们介绍一位非常重要的剧场工作者，他是台湾小剧场非常重要的一位演员导演，他自己拥有一个剧团。那在阿忠的生命历程中，还有他的表演是非常吸引我去跟他合作的，所以非常的开心有这个机会在这个作品当中有他的加入。那另外一位创作者以及表演者就是我。我在 The Center 这一个作品的准备有3年的时间，透过这3年，然后以及国家两厅院和国家文化艺术中心魏武营一起去共同制作完成这一个作品。可以看到这张照片，我跟阿忠中间有一个绳索，我们都坐在相同的轮椅上面。阿忠是这一个作品非常重要的一个身体核心，我试着一步一步的去靠近政治中，去靠近他的身体语言，然后也希望大家可以去了解到， 同时身为一个身障者，又是一位剧场工作者，他如何在生活跟表演当中那个转换的界限是什么？可以看见我们的身体，试着找到身体彼此交叠的语言。那这也是这个作品最核心的部分，就是去寻找到身体的重心。我们两个是很不同的身体，那当在这3年碰触彼此的状况下，其实有了一个很深的默契，也就是在失衡的当中去找到平衡的可能，在平衡的当中去找到那个失衡边缘的语言是什么。这作品有3个很重要的元素，一个是口述影像，那一个是情境字幕，那一个是无障碍设施在剧场的需求。那为什么是这3个核心呢？因为我发现在剧场，当我们在面对身心障碍的时候，你会有不同的服务，有字幕听不见的人，然后有情境，有口述影像是针对看不见的朋友。那我在想做阿仲与我的时候，就在想，可以与这3个元素一起创作吗？所以就提出了这样的可能性。就这样子，我们试着从生活当中移动，开始去思考《The Center》这个作品，也就是我们如何去抵达一个排练场。它跟我过往的经验已经是很不同，也就是当我参与阿中这样的一个表演者的创作的时候，从生活的路线，从生活的体验，它是已经是另外一个生活的轨道。所以可以看见，我们开始去学习辅具，对于我完全不会使用的人来说，那阿中他开始去分享我这个辅具对于身体的用法。那你可以看见这照片当中，我试着在去寻找到这个辅具，它不是只是支撑无力的部分，而是它可不可以给予更大的力量。那我们开始开着这个电动轮椅去城市当中游走，所以我想分享一些照片。这些文字呢，是在演出当中你会透过字幕当中观看到的，它也是书写给听不见的人。那看不见的人，他会是被读出来的一个语汇。我们开始在城市当中游走，开始去描绘到底轮椅的这种移动的速度感，身体是怎么样子呈现。所以到不同的空间当中，有弧线的空间，有方形的空间。最后我们把这样子的语汇带到剧场里面去，透过光影，然后去让2个电动轮椅有一个很神奇的速度感在舞台上呈现。然后有一个更重要的是我们的双脚，也就是支撑人移动走路的双脚，它如何置换到2个拐杖身上。那这段文字是在给视障朋友听见的一段文字，我们再去描述到一些关于人所需要跨越的时候所遇到的一些感觉，例如说它可能是一个黑暗的墙，我们会去描述颜色，我们也会去描述力量这件事情，在作品的过程中。很重要的是，其实我们从很大的工作坊开始，所有的创作伙伴都会一起参与工作坊，从不去使用你的下半身，去运动你的全身，去找到关于作者的身体语汇。所以开始有更多人的加入，有很多的人来参与这样子的工作坊。在限制之下，我们去伸展我们的身体。那有一个很重要的过程是走出去街上，去公共空间，去跟大家分享这样子的一个议题 ，The Center 的这样的一个议题。于是我们在街上遇见了很多的人，他可能不一定是会走入剧场的人，但让大家在一个公共的空间去观看这样子的一个 issue。最重要的是，到底我们是否准备好？一个剧场需要有多少的轮椅席？这个照片是在今年卫武营演出的空间，那个时候我们把第1排的观众席都拆开，所以让整个剧场的空间可以在 比例上面增加了更多的轮椅席使用者。那我觉得这是这个作品有一个潜在意识，也是很希望去达到的一个，就是去让剧场去重新去思考说，可否让更多的人去参与。那这是这个作品最后的画面，阿忠爬上了一个训练架，像是起飞一样的达到一个位置的地方。那我们在今年其实完成了4档的巡演，在台湾。那希望未来会去到更多的城市去分享，这样子从2个身体各异的表演者去撞击出来的一个作品。那最后跟大家分享的是我的团队一起在台湾完成的这个制作。那最后呢，我想跟大家分享一下阿忠他怎么去看这样子的一个创作。
从11月中排练过程，一直到后来在台北实验剧场的演出，那其中的一段，书一下的电轮，我也下的电轮，就是在那一个2个人的身体有物理接触的过程当中，有一个很小的瞬间，你其实是知道了另外一个人的身体记忆。总是其中有一个人可以碰到比较高的地方，那是因为下面有一个人在下面那里支撑着。当然表现出来的是那个摇摇欲坠，想要支撑，但是最后2个人还是掉了下来。就是如果最后不提共融这2个字的话，我想我会比较关心跟在意的是人与人之间的关系。我觉得可以看到彼此，然后看在眼里，其实就是一件很了不起的事情。而且最重要的是还记住，其实最难的是记住这件事情。
Thank you, Joe. It's a socially inclusive work that hasn't covered much yet. According to the brief paper you prepared for us, I understand when you tour abroad, you need a subtitle operator as a tour member. Do you plan, or is it possible to subtitle in English, or is it possible to do them in local language?
这个作品在字幕的发展当中，它其实到不同的城市，它是需要跟着当地语言去转换的，因为这里面的语言是非常重要跟需要被理解的。那特别是针对盲人他所听到的声音，我也希望在这整个声音它有一个需要的翻译过程。那其实我们在创作的时候一直都是用2个语言去创作，只是现在因为疫情的关系，所以我们在台湾的演出都是以中文的版本在演出，所以它是一个语言很庞大的一个舞蹈作品，所以语言会是需要一直在不同层次当中去替换的。谢谢。
Thank you, Joe. Now we have Artificial Paradise of Hell by National Theatre and Concert Hall, and the work is ready to connect. Please welcome the presenter, Babu.
I will take him on an extraordinary voyage across the seas will be remembered as the greatest homecoming journey. Along the way, he will meet monsters, man-eating monsters, louts without a law to bless them, cannibals.
I'm from one. I am from I. I am Polyphemus, aka the Cyclops.
Okay, I get it now, why we're here. The six of us, we represent 60% of the world's population. Okay, that's fair. That's perfect.
Russia is also Asia.
It doesn't make sense at all. We are playing the story as the other. Now for the West, we are the other. We are Asia only because we are not them.
Taiwan! East Asia or Southeast Asia, どっち?
East Asia.
You mean fancy Asia or jungle Asia?
Hello, I'm Babu, a theater director based in Taiwan. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce my new work, Artificial Paradise or Health. It is the second play in a series that we call Modern Asian Mythology. In the series, we adopt Western literature classics for the context for today's Asia. One of our motivations for this is to deconstruct perceptions of Asia held by the West. Another motivation is to create and explore a new aesthetic language for Asian contemporary theater, a language that is fully defined by ourselves. Through the process, we want to present Asia's unique experience with modernization, colonization, and globalization, in contrast to those of the West. Our first production in the Modern Asia Mythology series was called Mythology Upon the Table, which was based on the epic Odyssey. The setting of the play is a dining table, but the host, who represent the West, is absent. The table is then occupied by Asian artists who seize the opportunity to tell their own stories. The second one is the play I want to talk about today, Artificial Paradise or Health, which is inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy. The Divine Comedy, as we all know, is a journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. Our play is about how Asian migrant workers struggling through the three parts. They have to pass through hell, which we renamed corrupt society, and purgatory, which we renamed society in transition, as they hope to reach heaven or ideal society. In the meantime, we also want to discuss about how the pandemic brings impact on the migrant workers. During the pandemic, migrant workers all over the world have faced much hardship and anxiety. They are often scapegoated as foreigners. They are cast away as outsiders and labeled disease carriers. So in this piece, the main characters are migrant workers, all named Dante, who is played by multiple actors. Dante is guided by a human resource specialist named Virgil. The role is also from the book. The journey made by the many Dante characters is meant to represent the journeys of Asian migrant workers around the world. For this production, the actors who come from different Asian countries are all contributing by researching and connecting stories about migrant workers from their local communities. We rely on each actor to provide their own insight and observations of their own cultures to help shape the script. So I think let's go to the part of the theater style. One special feature of our production is to reimagine international co-production in the future, and also to redefine live performance, which is a direct result of the pandemic. Because of the difficulty of travel, most of our international cast who cannot come on site, so we will have them perform remotely from their home countries via internet live streams, which will be broadcast on several large projection screens. We will have also changed the arrangement of the theater space. The audience is placed in the center and seated on the ground, with the projection screens hanging around the room. Our inspiration for this comes from the gathering of migrant workers. In Taipei, it's very common for migrant workers to gather together in central public space like Taipei Main Station during their time off. The purpose here is to make the audience feel like they are part of the gathering migrant workers, listening to the stories of their peers and the friends. So we have 7 actors performing remotely, and the screen replaces the performer as the narrative subject. In addition to the live stream video of the actors, we are also using pre-recorded video and live video taken inside the physical theater space with the goal of breaking the boundaries between live performance and streaming. In the theater, there will be only 1 actor and musicians remaining on site. The actor is the Virgil. He plays the Virgil, who serves as the guide for the entire play. Objects, lighting, sound, and music, all those elements happen live. We will try to connect online and offline. And about the scale of the work, our ideal space will be a black box theater for around 200 audience without assigned seating. And the debut for this piece is planned for April for next year at the National Theater in Taiwan, maybe to be followed by an international tour, hopefully. And to introduce our core creative team, there's myself, Babu, and Winsini, the assistant director. And the cast members come from diverse backgrounds. Shananya from India. She is a specialist in traditional India dance. Ross, he is a performance artist from the Philippines. Anastasia from Indonesia has a background in traditional cold dance. And Randy from Cambodia. In Taiwan, we are also working with 1 actress, Yiling, and 1 dancer, Wu Kang. About the time frame, I think we will have the initial rehearsals in this month, start very soon to December. We'll start to work on the stories and the script. And till February, we'll start the next stage of rehearsal, focusing on the play structure and video elements. And in March, we expect to start a full technical rehearsal in preparation for the debut show in April. And about the goals, we hope to work with AAPPAC to obtain financial assistance and also to connect with other performing arts venues for our international tour. I think that's all for my presentation today. Thank you for listening and looking forward to your feedback.
Thank you, Babu. It's very multicultural work with 7 actors and actresses from different countries, right?
Yes.
And they're from 5 different countries, you said?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, good.
India, Indonesia,
Mhm.
and the Philippines, Cambodia, and I think there will be 1 from Thailand or Vietnam. Not sure yet.
So can the actors and actresses be altered to local people of organizer or international presenters? Is it possible? Can you switch the actors and actresses, or are they all fixed?
I think the idea is if the piece performed in, for example, in Philippines, then we will have the actor Ross be the Virgil, and other people they will perform remotely.
So they're switchable.
Yes.
Okay,
I think that's the idea.
Okay, thank you. Now we have Man is Nothing But What He Makes of Himself by Esplanade, featured by artistic director Kwek Swee-boom from THE Dance Company. And the work is Seed of an Idea. Please welcome the presenter, Iris, Swee-boom, and Adelina.
Good day, everyone. My name is Iris, and I'm a dance programmer at Esplanade Theatres on the Bay, Singapore. Today, I'd like to share our upcoming commission with one of Singapore's leading dance companies, THE Dance Company. With a working title, Man is Nothing But What He Makes of Himself, it will be presented as part of our annual Dance Festival 2022 in October, and we are seeking co-producers and co-presenters. Within the conditions of our pandemic situations, this new full-length dance production will focus on technological modernization in Asia and its relationship to individual and collective cultures, identities, and free will. The artistic and production team that we currently have are choreographer Kwek Swee Boon, artistic director of THE Dance Company, and producer Adelina Swee. Now, I'd like to invite Swee Boon to share more on the concept of this new Esplanade Commission. Swee Boon, please.
Thank you, Iris. Hi, I'm Swee Boon. 我是瑞宇文5人舞团的创团及现任艺术总监和主要编导。那我为这次的工作呢，暂定了一个主题，叫做“人除了自我塑造之外，什么也不是”。出自以上保罗·沙特的一本书，叫做《存在主义也是一种人道主义》。那我这一次的工作呢，我想要聚焦关注在东南亚或现代化变迁，以及后官病时代中的人以及其生存状态。我为作品定下了3个初始问题，即是在东南亚或亚洲出生、成长、生活的人，当我们在深刻认识以拥抱各种极限的有形无形的流动身份后，那我们要如何去到一个更前卫的跨国界位置，解放身份认同的束缚？第2个问题是，当霸权式的思维在东南亚或亚洲，高度文化孵化的生活中还在不断的变化演调时，我们有没有可能通过混合型的生活、工作与艺术形式，找到某种出口，或者是平衡？在后官并跨越国界的真实与虚拟共存新世界中，能否解放地域生活文化造成的极限性与不足，展现我们自由意识的某个珍贵层面？这是第3个问题。那我希望呢，通过这一个这个作品，通过即时的3D 影像呢，把某个和东南亚或亚洲有密切关系的人，投射到新加坡的演出现场。那在条件的允许之下呢，我们也可以把新加坡的表演者，甚至是观众，通过即时影像也投射到他的演出场地中。在这个制作中的3D 音响呢，我则打算采用 DMB 的 Audio Technique Soundscape System。这个系统我曾在一个作品中用过，对它的印象非常的深刻。现场观众到时候可以坐在一定的位置上观看，可以自由的走动，自主建立他们与表演者和作品的关系。在同时呢，他们也将成为现场以及线上演出的一个部分。这个作品的训练与创作方式，除了对话，也将会以空身心意即兴无法切入与研究。那海外艺术家呢，将是我在当地演出的合作伙伴。我们会参与很多创作与表演上的艺术决定。那我希望呢，有对3D 投影呢有着深厚认识，以及对我的提问或者对空身心意即兴无法人舞团有兴趣的人加入这个计划之中。Thank you, and now I pass the time back to Adelina.
Thanks, Swee Boon. Hi, everyone. I'm Adelina, Company Manager of the Human Expression Dance Company and producer of this new work. And I'm here to give you a brief background of our company. At THE, Hollow Body is our signature methodology and movement philosophy that our dance artists are immersed in. And it's also an experiential process that empowers our dance artists to draw from their deeper instincts and impulses through movement. We believe that the body is a vessel that carries our thoughts, emotions, and energy, and the instinctive wisdom that it has forms the basis for our works, which are driven by a sincere desire to uncover the dimensions of human existence that are often overlooked, offering incisive observations on the human condition and highlighting current issues of our contemporary life. Over the past year and a half, we've been experimenting with various digitalization efforts, but with a clear direction of aspiring to retain the characteristics of live, in-person performances, because we believe that these are still irreplaceable. All of these experiences make us really excited for possibilities to build deeper human connections with the aid of technology. And so we are looking forward to this new commission's work because we believe that even with the existing travel restrictions, meaningful international collaborations are still very possible. I will now show you our company's trailer, where you can catch glimpses of Swibun's recent works and our company's aesthetics. But please note that this trailer also contains some footage of other works by choreographers whom we have worked with. So that was a glimpse of our company. And here's our projected timeline for this new creation. So because the premiere is set to be in October next year, we are hoping to confirm our collaborators by January or February 2022. I will now pass the time back to Iris, who will share more about our performance format and what we're looking for. Iris, please.
Thank you. So this is a unique collaboration as it is one of the first times dance artists from two different countries are collaborating in this manner, both creating and performing together without traveling. And with the use of 3D projection and 3D sound, it provides an immersive audience experience. And there'll be two possibilities of this project's format of presentation. The first, Explanate and the co-producer or co-presenter will collaborate creatively and present the respective performances live. In other words, both performances in Singapore and another country are simultaneously live streamed as one single show for each city's local audiences in the theatre. And the second option is that the co-producer will propose and provide local artists for this program, of which their live performance will be live streamed as a key component of the live performance in Explanate. And of course, we are open to suggestions of creative technologies working with us. Yeah. For more information, my contact is indicated here, and that is all from Explanate Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you, Iris, Swibun, and Atalina. It's a strongly motivated and aspiring work for trans-culturalized society, I felt. May I ask you a technical question? With three-dimensional projection and three-dimensional soundscape system, how do the audiences experience the performers? Do they sit on a chair, fixed chair, or do they sit within the performances?
Hey, thank you, Ken. Ken, you are right. Yeah, so there's some fixed chair or fixed seat. Yeah, but they also are free to move around. Yeah, so at the picture we can see here. So with this 3D projection and 3D sound, we hope this immersive experience, yeah, is something become unique and special.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have Angel Island by Arts House Limited, featured by the lead artist, Juan Ro, and the work is A Seed of an Idea. Please welcome the presenter, Mervyn, Kwek, and Juan.
Hi, my name is Mervyn, and I'm a senior producer with the Singapore International Festival of Arts, which is presented by Arts House Limited. The Singapore International Festival of Arts, or SIFA, will be commissioning Chinese composer Huang Ruo to create a new work titled Angel Island for SIFA 2023. Huang Ruo has been lauded by the New Yorker as one of the world's leading composers and by the New York Times for having a distinctive style. His vibrant and inventive musical voice draws equal inspiration from Chinese, ancient, and folk music, Western avant-garde, experimental, noise, natural, and processed sound, rock, and jazz. As a member of the new generation of Chinese composers, his goal is not just to mix both Western and Eastern elements, but also to create a seamless organic integration. Huang Ruo's diverse compositional works span from orchestra, chamber music, opera, theatre, and dance to cross-genre sound installation, multimedia, experimental improvisation. So today we'll be sharing with you Angel Island. Over to you, Huang Ruo.
Thank you, Mervyn. First of all, I want to give you a little background of the come about of Angel Island. Actually, the new work we are planning to create will be a music theater in one act. Angel Island was actually originally a new composition I just recently created as a oratoria. I collaborated with the Dissot Quartet, and the oratoria is a concert version. And when I was writing it, I'm just thinking, you know, this work deserved to be done, to be created, to be expanded as a music theater with actors, singers, and string quartet. So Angel Island is it is an island in the Bay Area in San Francisco Bay in the U.S. With a beautiful name called Angel Island, but actually has a very dark history. It was the place where, similar to the Ellis Island on the East Coast, which received immigrants from Europe, Angel Island actually was the holding ground for incomers, refugees and immigrants from Asia. And in turn of the century, late 19th century to early 20th century, most of the immigrants are Chinese from China. And on the Angel Island, there is a detention center. It's made of wood. And the treatment of the immigrants from Asia was not the same as immigrants from Europe, unfortunately. And we all know that in the 1892, there was the Chinese Exclusion Act being passed by the U.S. Congress, but also before that, there was a Page Act and Scott Act, or the Discrimination Act towards the newcomers and new immigrants who came to U.S. to work very hard as labor, but could not stay and also could not bring their spouse over. So in this detention center made of wood, the detainees who are mostly Chinese, and they use sharp objects to cut poetries on the wall. So as you can see here, there is a book compiles all the poetries from the Angel Island, and I was inspired by the poems from the wall, and also in between the poem, I wanted to use historical documents, true stories around that time, and also either newspaper news and also published books, publications, very propaganda, anti-immigrant books, to frame all these poems, to create a historical backdrop of the only existing the Exclusion Act for Chinese was the only act that in the U.S. history that discrimination to one ethnic group and one race in the world. So as you can see, the first scene, let's have the first scene. So the first scene is called the Chinese Massacre of 1871, which actually is the massacre in Chinatown in Los Angeles. And during that instance, there's more than a dozen Chinese Americans were lynched, being murdered because of conflict. And so the first scene will be based on this story, and we will have singers singing, but also actors to act out the scenario. So scene 2, as you can see, is one of the poems from the Angel Island. And this poem is about the newcomers coming along the way on the sea, in the ocean, and talk about the seascape and talk about their homesickness, and face them is a wooden building. And if you look at scene 3 is again back to the historical story again. So in this case, takes place in Hong Kong, and during that time, actually, the Chinese laborers or immigrants were not allowed to bring spouse or bring their wife over because people in the US are afraid that they will have children, babies, because when the children were born, they will be automatically become US citizen. So they in Hong Kong consulate, they use these questionnaires to have post questions to question the spouse, the female spouse, to suspect they are prostitutes, to suspect them coming to the US to do prostitution, to poison, and to get the U.S. white population disease, to give them disease, to get them sick with Asian disease. So so this scene actually is quite what I call dark humor, because when you hear those questions, it's just very ridiculous. But those are real questions being asked, and so we will have an interview scenario being staged. So number 4 is again back to the vocal singing again, and in this case it's a detention center, and someone is singing about their suffering, their experience in the detention center, being naked to do health check and constantly, and being locked up without able to set free, some for months and some even for several years. So the next scene, this is called The Chinese Invasion. Is based on a book by H.J. West. So in this scene is again with narration, with megaphone. So some of the singers will be reading the introduction from this book. Actually, it starts with Chinese invasion. They are coming, 900,000 more, and so it's a very propaganda book. But if you listen to those words in this book, actually, it's very contemporary. You will hear many echoes of those sayings in today's world by either officials or leaders who in the world doesn't want immigrants or refugees to come to their country. So they accuse the immigrants to bring disease, to bring prostitution, to bring crime, to bring drug, and to poison the population. So the next scene is mourning. So basically, someone died during the detention, and a friend of this person is mourning about this dead friend. So again, this scene will be sung by the singers. And the poem, which is one of the poems on the wall as well. So the scene 7, I'm imagining is about the Titanic story, the Chinese man who survived the Titanic. If those of you who have seen the movie Titanic, there was extra scenes of a Chinese man holding on a door floating on the ocean. That's how he survived. And he was rescued by the last boat, came out to rescue people. And he survived the Titanic, being one of the lucky ones. However, when he tried to enter the immigration, in this case is in Ellis Island in New York City, he was not allowed to let in because the Chinese Exclusion Act. So he's not allowed to get help, get health check, get medical help because he is being Chinese. But although he survived the Titanic, but he could not enter a country, and he was let go or sent to another country, to Cuba, in a few days. So this part will be staging and retelling the story of the Chinaman who survived the Titanic. And the last scene I'm imagining is about the people who survived, who left the island, either being deported back to Asia, to where they came from. Actually, a lot of them got deported, and some actually got lucky to be allowed to enter the mainland US. And those are the ancestors of the Asian Chinese who survived and who start family generations of Asian American living in the US. So this is about their story. So this will be sung by the choir again. So I'm imagining for scene odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7 with string quartet and narration with actors staging. And scene 2, 4, 6, 8 will be with singing with the choir, vocal ensemble, also with acting, also with string quartet. So that's why I call this work music theater, because it is opera, it is theater, it is unknown. I could not find the best word to call it, but in a way, it is using art to tell story, to inspire. So in this case, we call that the Angel Island Music Theater in one act. So if you can see, this is a little description of Angel Island. It will be around 90 minutes in duration for actor, vocal ensemble, and string quartet. A little history of the island itself. So this tells us that our work, Angel Island, deal with racism, sexism, systematic racial and gender discrimination, immigration and refugee biases. Again, I want to stress that what happened on Angel Island then it still resonates in the world in different ways in light of what we are facing today, even in the same country and elsewhere. So it's not just about detainees or one group of people being discriminated. To me, this work is a universal work that to show people that when one group of people discriminate another group of people for their differences, for whatever reason, bad things will happen. And this will happen no matter where and when we are, even in today's world. So I hope that this work could inspire us to ask the question about who we are and who other peoples are, and how we can together live in peace, and also to treat each other with respect, and together to advance, to move forward as one world and one group of people called human being. So at last, I want to share with you just a sample music from Angel Island. And again, this is from the oratoria, the current version we have, sung beautifully by the vocal group from San Francisco, as well as played beautifully by my friends, who also is my co-partners of this project, the Soul Quartet. And here is here's the music. But before that, let's quickly look at what we have for now. So I will write the music, and the libretto will be from the book I show you, also historical stories and documents. I will adapt them. And also we are looking for director, design team, singers, and the string quartet will be the Adventures, the Soul Quartet from the US. The duration is around 90 minutes. The language will be in both English and Chinese, will be in both speaking and singing, narration as well, and acting. So now let's quickly just move to the music. And this is from the fourth scene about the suffering of the people on the island.
Thank you, Marvin and Juan. I think it has very profound and meaningful message, and the theme may be somewhat delicate, yet something we should talk and share. According to the brief paper you prepared, this work is going to be premiered in May or June of 2023, right?
Yes, that's right. So CIFA traditionally runs from May till June every year. So likewise for 2023, it will run tentatively from middle of May till the first week of June. So we are in the process of sorting out exactly when the work will be presented and premiered at the festival, whether it's in the beginning of the festival or towards the end of the festival. So we will work out the dates as we move along.
Okay, so your proposal is to be connected from January of 2022 to May or June of 2023. So that's how it works, right? You kind of...
Yeah, so as early as now, we would like to start talking to potential partners, co-commissioners, and co-presenters for the work. As you can see from Huang Ruo's presentation, we're also starting to look at directors, possible director, designers for the work, and then starting conversations with different partners. So it's a long process. And given that we have some time now till 2023 where the work premieres, it will be a good time to start discussions and looking for partners for this project.
I see. Thank you. Now we have A Reason for Falling by Hua Weian, independent artist. It's choreographed and performed by himself, and the work is a seed of an idea. Please welcome the presenter, Hua Weian.
I'm Wei An, and I'm here to talk about my project, A Reason for Falling. I'd like to begin by sharing a video about the project. Do enjoy. That was a selection of clips from A Reason for Falling and moments from the film North of Nightfall, which is about freeride mountain biking. Freeriding is carrying what is basically a bicycle and riding down a mountain, not navigating the safest line possible, but rather flying down the mountain in a mind-blowing act of creativity and scale that pushes an athletic endeavor into the realms of discovery and awe and wonder. This is what A Reason for Falling draws from, looking at freeride mountain biking and then asking through my own movement practice, the art of falling, how freeriding could be embodied as a form of dance, how the energy of flight and fall may be experienced without bike and without mountain. What would it mean to be able to throw myself through the air and trust that my body can catch myself the way a freerider's vehicle does? What are the possibilities that lie between loss of balance and the body hitting the ground? And what is the role of challenge and risk in all of this? These are the questions that I asked and the process that I went through in exploring A Reason for Falling, from freeride mountain biking, asking questions through my practice, to finding a form of dance that could be, in a sense, freeriding. This was done through a series of residencies, first in Dance Nucleus in Singapore, then Campbelltown Art Centre in Australia, and finally in Rimbundahan here in Malaysia. And this led to a presentation, a video installation at Vector number 1, produced by Dance Nucleus in April of this year. And as you can see here at Vector, the iteration of A Reason for Falling was presented as a dual channel video installation. As presented at Vector, A Reason for Falling was quite a simple work. It's 35 minutes of one body working to activate an empty space the way a rider animates the space of a mountain. I do, however, see further developments leading to a live performance of about 45 minutes in length, presented whether in a black box or a small proscenium in a space 14 meters wide by 12 meters deep, or potentially larger. Among other things, further development of this work includes expanding the piece beyond my own subjectivity, first in dialogue with a dramaturg, Tang Fu Quen, and then later in studio with other dancers from backgrounds quite different from my own. For this, I'm currently in discussion with a Chinese lady who's a contemporary dancer and a Malay gentleman who's a street dancer here in Malaysia. And I hope through their perspectives and subjectivities to come to better understand the potentials and limitations of the work and to see where things can be stretched and pushed. I also hope to continue working with Kent Lee, the composer of the work, who made the music that you heard in the video at the beginning of the piece, at the beginning of the presentation, sorry. And I'm also looking to work with a lighting designer for this work. If all goes well, I hope to be able to premiere this work in the second half of 2022. And for this, I'm currently in discussions with the Esplanade in Singapore and other presenting partners here in Malaysia. That, though, is just the beginning, and I'm certainly looking forward to sharing this work with new theaters and new audiences, and to take it beyond the shores of Malaysia and Singapore. For all of that to happen, though, what this project is currently seeking is primarily funds for development for the creatives involved, and also venues to commission and or present the work once it's completed. I'd like to end by saying that I see A Reason for Falling as a beginning. There's so much to explore in falling and freeriding. And in June this year, I had the chance to do that a little bit during the Talent Lab residency hosted by Le Théâtre de la Vie in Luxembourg. Unfortunately, due to travel restrictions, I wasn't able to be there in person, but I was able to work remotely with Sarah Tan, a Singaporean dancer based in Belgium. And over the course of 8 days or so, we created a duet. This work drew ideas and themes from A Reason for Falling, but it became very much its own thing, working through pandemic conditions, having to relate to each other through camera and screen, and me not being able to be there to respond and to craft the work as I would have liked to, meant that the whole process felt like a very long fall and a series of letting go in order to find again where the work wanted to go and what it needed to be. And this, among other things, and other stories and experiences are some of the metaphors that I hope to continue to build into A Reason for Falling, to bring the piece beyond what it is now. And it is hopefully something that I'll be able to share with you in the near future. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention.
Thank you, Ryan. It's quiet, but not static, rather active, and also has interesting aspects of movement. And speaking of video, it's sort of a demo, right? The clip you had is it's not complete yet.
It's one iteration of the work. It's not complete yet as a live performance, but this was a video version that was created for Vector #1.
Okay, so what kind of lighting and sound setting do you plan for the whole production, and do you have any scenography with it?
Yeah, with regard to light and sound, there are quite a number of ideas that draw from freeride mountain biking and how they use video and sound in their own works. With regard to light, for example, there's the hope that I have to be able to zoom out a little bit in a sense, even though we are in a fixed space in the theater, to zoom out and see the small body against the big space, the way you see the small body of the rider against the big mountain. And then to also, with the light, be able to zoom in to see how small spaces and intricacies in a path can be navigated. So this contrast between big and small and how the lighting can contract and expand the space. And also, one of the things that I'm really interested in is to see how lighting can bring attention to the space between the body and the floor, and how this space changes as the body approaches, falls, or returns from the floor. And sound-wise also, it draws from freeride mountain biking, where in some of the videos you see, or you hear rather, not music, but you hear the sound of the bicycles going whoosh, as they slash through the dirt and make turns or roll over the rocks. And so part of the piece will definitely, or most likely, be with just ambient sound of the body against the floor, where they're going or through and across the floor. But then also trying to take that energy and put it into music by working with Ken to find out what's the sound of something falling. Yeah. Oh, and scenography wise, the piece is meant to be quite simple because you have the rider and the mountain in the source material. And here we're looking to see, or I'm looking to see, how my body or a dancer's body can activate an empty space without the mountain, without the bicycle, and can an energetic equivalent be embodied through this piece?
I see. Okay, thank you. Now we have Cyborg Errors by Anarchy Dance Theater, and the work is Seed of an Idea. Please welcome the presenter, Jeff Schitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jeff Xie Jiehua from Anarchy Dance Theater. So today I'm going to present you the cyborg arrows. The first, our company actually started from 2010 and focused on digital dance. The issue we are dealing with is the impact for human when we enter the digital era. So in 2015, we did a new work called Second Body, dealing with the definition of body may have been changed because of technology. So following that, if the definition of body has been changed, so the definition of death may have changed as well. So that's the internal straight line. So the following question is, what is human? So we started this project called Cyborg Arrows and put this work in post-human era imagination. So what is post-human? It means that there's no difference between human and a machine and no difference between biological organization and the human-machine structure. So as you can see in these two videos, actually this video was shooting in 2015, kind of 60 years ago, that we can share one body is machine. So it means that we have to learn how to use this kind of new body in the near future. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is so powerful nowadays that it's also in 2015 that AI has beat humans at image recognition. And also this kind of analysis, how the AI recognizes is a kind of black box. Nobody knows, no human knows how they recognize how the system works. So it means that AI has its own logic to understand what is people. So it means that, so when we enter this kind of post-human era, can AI tell us, am I a human? Especially when everybody has a kind of electronic device in his hand, in his body. So cyborg arrows, we study practice. The first one is from learning from the experience of dancers, how they move their body, especially in this kind of topic, one body. As you can see that the dancers, when they move their body, they can share their weight or their balance with others. And they use their body to move as a kind of unit, a united one. So can we learn from this experience, especially how they move to share the body with others to apply to this kind of combination that fresh body and a digital body? So we start this kind of experiments that to use screen to divide it, the body into two parts. One is fresh, one is screen body. So as you can see that the dancer trying to move her body with the bigger part of her body. And this one is the middle one is the screen part, and the other one is the fresh part. As you can see that when the dancer is moving, although it kind of separated, but in a kind of a common sense, united or the same sense of body, the waving in the same time. So it means that when we have this kind of new body, probably we have to learn or we have to use our experience to apply, so adapt in this kind of new body. So meanwhile, we can use this kind of image recognition to do some creative thinking. So this is the AI to do the detections in real time. So as you can see that the AI may misunderstand what is body. And this kind of misunderstanding probably could be called wrong, but also could be called a kind of creative thinking. So it's like the AI tells us that the dancer, probably the dancer A's leg put into dancer B's body, means that the structural body in AI's understanding could be shift or could be twist in a different kind of way. So use these kind of things. One is body, one is AI recognition. We try to put this together in a performance and try to happen on-site and online together. So we are going to do a first tryout at the end of this year. And this year we are trying to focus on online watching experience first and use the webcam of the audience, try to do the interact and to bring the dancers shuttle between real and the virtual. So the first one, our experience is try to mix body with the audience. We use this technology called face track. So as you can see, the Erica is audience, and we capture Erica's face and put on our dancer's face. Means that Erica is a man, and our dancer is a lady, and this dancer can flip, can turn to give Eric a different kind of body experience that Erica doesn't have. And this one is that, as you can see, that KJ with the Barbie doll, when she understands the lure of the technology, she's trying to create a new body by herself automatically. So create this kind of interactions will allow people to react, to bring the idea into this piece. And also, this is another technology that try to shuttle, bring the audience shuttle between the real and the digital world in a real time. So the audience can choose their angle from the digital part or from the reality part. So the stable error is trying to deal with that kind of sense that the body can be ensembled. So the body, if the body can be assembled, it means that the part of body can separate into the internet, separate into the physical world. So because of this new body, we are going to have this kind of new ability. So how to deal with this new ability? Probably we have to learn from the experience of our fresh body that the dancer can give. So the scale of work is kind of 6 to 70 minutes. It can digital format, that's 3 performers, and it happens on site and online at the same time. So audience has to interact or engage in these performance. And also we trying to allow the audience bring their computer to the theater to see online and on site together. So the time frame is by the end of this year, we are doing the first tryout in Taipei, and the premiere is the end of next year in the Aix-en-Provence, and it happens in May in 2023 in Taichung. So we are seeking for the touring possibility, also the on-site and on the digital world as well, and also trying to find the partnership like the venue or the artist to work what is the new theme of performing arts, especially on digital performing arts, when we really step into the world of the metaverse. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great you have lots of thoughts and ideas that you want to share with us. I saw lots of interesting materials by your presentation. Now, how do you plan to put them together? What kind of work is it going to be? I mean, how are they going to be choreographed?
Okay, first, this work actually trying to react to this kind of post COVID-19 world that's the performing arts, especially on digital performing arts. That because we are going to shift our daily life, part of daily life, shift onto the internet. So my idea is, if we shift our daily life onto the internet, means performing arts also has to shift. Some part of performing art has to shift onto the internet. So some people doing kind of video streaming or kind of Zoom or this kind of meeting program to do that kind of performance. But about digital dance means that we can use a lot of digital programming to do interaction, this kind of thing. So what is the format of the digital performing arts when we happen online? So I'm going to try to explore this kind of idea. So that's before COVID-19, our company always doing this kind of interaction, use the camera, use the sensor. So we are trying to put this kind of knowledge and experience on the internet. and use the webcam, because the audience actually is sitting in front of their computer. So actually the theater is in this area. I mean, in front of the screen. So I'm trying to use this kind of a webcam or this kind of interaction or kind of brain exchange the idea could create a co-time or kind of sharing the same time or sharing the space through this webcam, through this the cable together with the stage with the audience. So when we use this form, actually, like nowadays, when you see me, actually, it's the screen, the me in screen. It's not real me. So, when I can use kind of digital format to change my that kind of shit, that kind of see, I can change to other form. Like, young people doing that a lot. So it's not real me. Actually, it's a me in a kind of coding way. So this is a new word, and I'm trying to use this format and this concept put together to do a piece to present my idea. I hope it is clear.
Okay, thank you. Now we have Stay by Adelaide Festival Centre. It's featured by writer and director Shakti from Klinji, and the work is ready to connect. Please welcome the presenter Aneta Shunhua, Artistic Director of Ausasia Festival, and Shakti.
Hello, I'm Annette Shunhua, Artistic Director of the Adelaide Festival Centre's Ausasia Festival. In 2019, Australian audiences were blown away by a 3-hour Sri Lankan Australian epic, Counting and Cracking, written, co-produced and co-directed by S. Shaktidaran. This iconic work is in the realm of the 7 streams of the River Ota, Einstein on the Beach and Cloud Street. It enjoyed sold-out seasons and won numerous awards, including Australia's premier literary prize. We're delighted that co-commissioners Ausasia Festival and Sydney Festival, with the support of the Australia Council for the Arts, ICDAF, Create New South Wales and Singapore's National Arts Council, will present S. Shaktidaran's new work in 2022, a collaboration with Singapore's SA The Collective and a story close to home for me. Here's S. Shaktidaran to tell you more.
Thank you, Annette. A vast, flat savanna, stretching across remote Australia. Performers enter, on stage and on screens. They sing, they dance, they talk, they play, cross continents. The music is an earthy mix of traditional and electronic, worthy of a concert in its own right. Within each song, a story seems to be unfurling. There is a plane in the sky, there is a ceremony in a cemetery, there is a birth, there is murder, there is fire. The stage transforms during the show, the screen shifting into the sky, the earth dividing to reveal wounds that haven't healed in over a century. By the time the show is finished, we've seen an expatriate mother and son reconcile on the roof of a high-rise in Singapore. We've seen an Aboriginal woman and a Maltese farmer begin to tend to a remote Australian outback wilderness again. Drummers have become comedians, dancers have become shamans, vocalists have become storytellers. This is Su, or Stay. It's a story about the invisible ties that bind us across continents. It's a story about the land and what it will do to us if we don't treat it right. It's a story about buried trauma that can yet still be healed. My name is S. Shaktidaran. Stay is a collaboration between my company here in Australia, Kurinji, and Sa The Collective, a brilliant ensemble of Singaporean artists who play a mix of traditional Chinese and contemporary electronic music. What our two companies have in common is a desire to push storytelling and music into unusual places, to try and develop a form of Australasian theatre that reflects what we grew up with, the blurred boundaries between dance, text, music and design that come naturally to traditional Aboriginal, East Asian and South Asian aesthetics. So what we have in common is the form of this show: part story, part concert, part ceremony. What's different between us is our lived experience. Everyone in Kurunji, apart from myself, grew up in remote Australia, a place defined by its open skies and a necessarily equal relationship with the land. But our Singaporean collaborators only witness nature when it is under control. They have no need to walk long distances. They have rarely, if ever, seen the stars. Out of this radical difference grew our storyline, drawn from the real-life experience of our collaborators. So this story, well, it begins with a discovery. Two skeletons, one of Aboriginal descent, the other Chinese, are unearthed on the dried-up creek bed of a remote Queensland farm. The effort to uncover the mystery of how and why the skeletons got there intertwines the fates of three women, thousands of kilometers apart. And if you want to find out what happens, well, you'll have to come to the show. Between 2019 and 2020, we had three developments for Stay in both Singapore and Australia. Through these, we discovered the form and the storyline of the work. But when the pandemic hit, we were forced to reconceptualize the project. So we began exploring the idea of keeping the local Australian performers real and live and transforming the Singaporean performers into a digital presence, both musically and performatively. And this proved extraordinarily liberating. It completely freed the stage design, giving us a blank slate to dynamically change for each scene/song in the work. It allowed us to present more evocatively the distinct landscapes of Singapore and remote Australia, both digitally and physically. And it powerfully symbolized the decision at the core of the work, the story of three women who make the difficult decision to return home and stay in their own communities. As we move to presentation, we're working with two highly experienced award-winning designers. Karen Norris is designing lights, whose work spans commercial and not-for-profit in Europe and Australia, both in theatre and dance. And Dale Ferguson on set and costume, who designs for both theatre and opera and does stints on West End and Broadway. I worked closely with Dale for Counting and Cracking. Dale has responded to the needs of this show with a truly distinctive design. In an otherwise black space, 15 portrait screens organically converge onto an earthy, raked stage. Both the screens and the rake dynamically present at various points music, dance, dialogue, ceremony, and landscape. At specific moments in the show, all of it can disappear, and the black space surrounding the set becomes a night sky, punctured by the dazzling Milky Way. Stay premieres at Sydney Festival this January 2022, followed by AusAsia in October. We're keen to talk to partners who are interested in presenting this work. Stay is planned as a flexible work able to be housed in both Pross Arch and Black Box venues. With 3 physical performers, 4 digital ones, and a production crew of 4, it can play venues of between 400 to 1,500 in audience, depending on scale. We expect audiences to be a similar mix to those who've come to my work in the past. A mix of culturally diverse Indigenous and migrant communities, along with more middle-class traditional arts lovers. With Stay, we expect more Pan-Asian and music lovers to be added to that mix. If you are interested in pushing the form of storytelling, in helping inspiring new global stories to be told on international stages, in engaging and compelling stories about current issues in the contemporary world, but crucially told from the perspective of the people on the ground, the people who have lived and are living through it, members of your own diasporas, then Stay is for you. Please get in touch by contacting our producer, Ben Gordon. We'd love to talk to you.
Thank you, Annette and Shakti. It's very interdisciplinary and intercultural work, I understand. So what would you want the audience to walk away with after experiencing the work?
I think in terms of Australian audiences, I I would love the work to be a reminder and an immersion into the fact that Australia has a long history and relationship with Asia, and that so much of what makes up Australia today comes from close geographical and family links with Asia that, at least in Australia, we don't talk about often enough. And I think in a broader Australasian context, there are so many things that connect us all that are very strong and ever present, but forgotten often in our everyday lives. And I hope that people come away with this thinking about the invisible ties that bind us all as they walk around, on the streets post-show, and that's a kind of very significant but forgotten factor of our everyday lives. And I guess in the form of the work, I hope it feels exciting. It's a contemporary manifestation of the kinds of forms we're used to in our traditional practices, but done in a contemporary way. And I hope it feels like we're charting out some new territory or exploring new ways to present our stories in ways that better fit the cultures we grew up in.
And Shakti, what type of space would be the most suitable for the work? A black box or proscenium theaters?
What's been really interesting for us is that COVID has disrupted us in two ways. One, initially because it made it harder for us to bring all the performers into one location for travel restrictions. And as I talked about, it liberated us in a sense because of how we can represent the Singaporean storyline digitally. But the other thing it's done for us is that our relationship with Sydney Festival, because of the outbreak we've had here recently in Australia and in Sydney, we've had to go through planning for a variety of different venues. And actually, because of that, we've actually designed for both black box and proscenium venues. And the nature of this show is that it has an intimate, vulnerable story at its heart, which can play to smaller audiences. But its set design and the way that the digital plays into that work means that it can expand to be quite large scale as well. And we've prepared designs for both. So we're now in a good position where we can tailor it to either a black box or proscenium, depending on who we partner with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us for the first virtual edition of the AAPPAC Connecting Series. We have come to the end of all the presentation, and I hope we've all been inspired by the amazing works being done by the artists, arts groups, and arts centers in this region. You may find copies of all the presented works today uploaded on the conference portal and the AAPPAC website if you'd like to find out more and get in touch with the presenters today on partnership and commissioning opportunities. Before we close this session, I'd like to thank all the artists, arts groups, centers that have submitted proposals to my fellow selection panel members, Faith and Sohyun, the AAPPAC Secretariat, Rachel and Jacqueline, the AAPPAC Exco members, and mostly all of you here that have joined this session today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference discussion and presentation we have lined up for you. And hopefully many of you get connected by all means. Thank you.